Carl Hall from Punch Out Boxing. Delighted to be joined by Ade Oladipo. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. It's been an interesting night. These next gen cards are interesting. When you look at them on paper, you don't see any superstar names, but what you see is talent that you hope in a couple of years' time will get to that superstar status. But guys and girls sometimes are on the card that just want to prove something as well. So they're all out to prove something, so they can't give you their best. So I've always enjoyed these next gen cards. I find them really entertaining. And I think this one, apart from maybe the main event, I think this one delivered.
I was going to say, it was quite a tempestuous evening, I like to use that word, in terms of ups and downs, because, you know, we had people like Callum French who were hot prospects, and he's had a really difficult evening tonight. What do you think went wrong?
Inactivity.
Yeah.
Inactivity. So it's one fight in 17 months for Callum French against a guy in Jesper Fury who came into that fight. This is his full fight this year. And he just looked like maybe just was a bit too experienced. Like, I'm all for prospects being matched hard, but they've got to be matched correctly. And maybe this was just a bit ambitious for Callum French, who it's not like in his first 2 or 3 outings as a pro, he's like blown you away. So, like, oh my God, he's definitely ready for that. He hasn't done that. So, yeah, maybe it's just a case of inactivity. Jesper Fury being a bit too experienced, seemed to know how to deal with the southpaw stance easily. And look, I was saying to Barry Jones after, like, what do you do now with a kid that has taken that kind of beating so early in his career? So normally, like, I'm going to contradict myself here. You know, it's one fight in 17 months, but I feel like he needs a rest now.
Yeah.
Because that was a beating. And look, I know they threw the towel in, but they threw the towel in with 40 seconds to go. So he went the full distance, basically. So they're going to really need to look at what they're doing. And maybe it's a case of a change of scenery as well. I know everyone likes this Berkeley Boys thing and they're all together and connected, but sometimes it's okay to break away and just try something a bit different. A different trainer who has different looks, different ideas. Because, it just felt like he was doing the same thing all the time. And I thought he was going to be a bit better. But look, no taking away from a Fury who looked fantastic. And sometimes those are the stories of the night. Guys like a Fury who doesn't get an opportunity, you don't normally see him on TV. There'll be a lot of people tuning in for the first time thinking, who is this kid? And you can see after when he's saying to Eddie, I want an opportunity, they want that. And so hopefully, as Eddie says, winner stays on. Hopefully he gets another opportunity to fight someone. He can go up and down in weights, make some money. And I think those are the stories from these next-gen cards.
I think, that winner stays on was really something that hits home. Is there anyone that you could see him fighting next?
It depends what weight class he wants to go in. I mean, this guy's fought at 147 this year, which is insane when you think about it. I know this was a scheduled lightweight, but they both came in around 138, 139. I don't know, watching that, if you are a prospect or the manager of a prospect, you're probably thinking, I don't know about this kid. Because he looks like he's not heavy-handed. And it looks like he's a bit slow on his feet and sometimes ponderous and he trips over himself. But then you look at Callum French's face and he clearly knows how to whack a little bit. So it's going to be difficult to match him. And he will probably fight someone and be a massive underdog. And he's happy to take that because, again, as we saw tonight, he's happy to come and cause the upset. So I think he's the kind of person that will take a phone call from Eddie, whether it be at 130, and he's had a fight at 130, 135, 140. And I dare say, I know he looks tiny, but again, go and look at the records. He fought at 147 6 months ago. He'll do it again. So he'll fight anywhere.
Ewan Mackenzie, almost too tough for his own good, I think, tonight. Again, another one that's unfortunately had the towel thrown in. Difficult night for him. How good was Ishmael Davis?
Too good. No, a bit too good. And I mean, I know sort of muscles don't win fights, but when you saw them at the weigh-in, you thought, one looks like a man and one looks like he's still not got his man's strength. And sometimes that can play a difference. I mean, after all, you are going to fight physically. When you get up close, you're going to feel it. And Ishmael just... One thing that really surprised me about him is how sort of just measured he was. Like, I thought, okay, that's the first couple of rounds. But again, that comes from maybe being a bit older. He just seemed a bit more calm in what he was doing. And even when I think maybe he looked like he was getting his second wind, sort of rounds 5 and 6, he didn't rush his work. He's sort of listening to Sonny Edwards scream instructions, and he just seemed to just all work for him. He wasn't headhunting. He went to the body numerous times, and every time those body shots worked, he then went to the uppercut. He's good. And I tweeted that I still think there are a few gears for him to go. Like, it felt like if Ewan was going to put it on him, he could have gone another 3 or 4 gears whenever he wanted to.
I genuinely felt that as well. I just felt like he had so much more to give. He was so composed, and I wasn't surprised that the towel got thrown in. Personally, I don't know about you.
No, nor was I. Because I mean, we were lucky enough to be able to hear sort of the cornerman. I had my ears in, and you could hear the cornerman say, "I'm going to give you one more round." So we knew it was coming. And sometimes when a cornerman says that, you're like, "Oh, it's just a kick up the backside," but they knew that this was just one-way traffic. And I said to Ishmael, I saw him at the hotel. We're standing in the same hotel, and I said, "Look, the win's important, but what you've got to do after the fight is say to Eddie, I want A, B, C. I want this, I want that, I want this. It's on camera." When Eddie says it, he commits to it because it's on camera. And I was happy he did that. He's like, "Eddie, I want this and I want that." And I think that's important because, again, for viewers to DAZN, they probably haven't seen or heard of him before. Now you know him, you're thinking, okay, I wouldn't mind seeing him again because he came in, he entertained, he talked the talk all week and he delivered.
Shabaz Masoud, a year out to the day, isn't it? Again, inactivity may have struck tonight. How do you measure his performance?
Yeah, I think inactivity is probably the biggest killer, but I almost feel like if I stick to that sort of thought process, I'm not giving Sanmartin the credit he deserves because I thought he won the fight. I thought 98-92 to Shabaz Masoud was just wild. I mean, I always have a moan at scorecards and I become that old grumpy man, but that was a wild scorecard. Shabaz Masoud just... I was watching it with Tony and we're both like, how good is he? Because if you get to the level that he's got to, unless you are an incredible boxer, you are going to need to dent someone. And I don't think he has that punch power or that strength. Because Sanmartin just kept coming on him and he couldn't push him off. He couldn't dent him with shots. I'm like, okay, so you've got to be a supreme boxer then to get through this type of guys. And you're going to get through them, whether it be Super Bantam, whether he goes up to feather, super feather. He's got to have something. But Mauricio Lara fought Sanmartin at feather and dented him in the 3rd round. You sometimes need that. And if you don't have that, I don't know. He's not got supreme work rate. He's not got the punch power. He's clearly a good boxer, but is he that? I'm not sure. So I almost feel like everyone now is going to be hard work for him if he continues at that level because he doesn't have the power to dent you. And unfortunately in boxing, you need it. You sometimes need the pop, unless you're bloody a reincarnation of Pernell Whitaker or something, you need that pop, and he hasn't got that pop.
23rd of December, there's talks of Wilder and AJ fighting on the same card, obviously not fighting each other. You've spoken.
How disappointing is that, by the way?
It's ridiculous.
I mean, no one's talking about that, really. I mean...
6 months ago, we were all adamant that was.
Yeah, so they're on the same card. We've been waiting for this fight for 5 years, longer maybe, and they're on the same card on the same night, and they're not fighting each other. What?
This is what I was going to ask. Who can you see either of them fighting to make that even eventful, other than the fact that we know they'll probably end up fighting each other after that?
Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately they're talking about Joseph Parker versus Deontay Wilder, which I'm not sure. I mean, Joseph Parker came through that fight against Simon Keane, I think it was. Yeah. But Wilder's a completely different animal, and they're talking about AJ versus Otto Wallin. I'm guessing if they're making that, they didn't have enough money to make the one, which is quite crazy. Don't have enough money. I think the Saudis have enough money, but maybe, I don't know, maybe, you never know what's going on behind the scenes with camps, and maybe AJ's camp said, okay, we want one more. Maybe Wilder's camp has said something as well, although I think Wilder would jump straight to it. Strange, it is a strange one. I'm just happy to see AJ fight again. I've always said that AJ, like every boxer, needs activity. I can't remember the last time he's had 3 fights in a year. It must be around 2014, 2015. So in fact, he's going to have 3 fights in potentially 9 months. I think it's a good thing. There was some talk about Manuel Char. Eddie's out there right now. I'm going to ask Eddie, if it's Manuel Char, it's horrible. And I'm saying this to every camera, so I can't go back on my words. I don't want to see Manuel Char. I wouldn't mind seeing Agate Kabayel. There's talk of Hergovich. There's other heavyweights out there for AJ to fight. I mean, you can't go Jermaine Franklin, slightly more in Hellenius to Manuel Char. I think if it's an Otto Wallin or an Agate Kabayel, you kind of stay like that, which is okay with me. Doing that, just to get a 3rd fight out, makes no sense. So hopefully it is an Otto Wallin, a Kabayel, a Hergovich, that kind of person.
Excellent. Fury and Usyk, obviously, I think it's February that they're looking at now. Do you think it's actually going to happen?
In February, no. No, I don't. I think more now to the end of the Riyadh season, which is March. Yeah. I think if they're going to do this big card in December, I don't think they're going to do another big card in 6 weeks later. I think it's more going to be to the end, which is a shame. again, activity. Don't get me wrong, Tyson Fury, wasn't great against Ngannou, but wasn't beat up, was he? It's not like he's come out of there with any serious injuries. A bit of a black eye, but you can rest that and go. So
were you comfortable with that decision as well?
Yeah, I was. I said, did Ngannou win that? But then when you watch it, Ngannou had the best big moments.
Yeah.
But Fury had more little moments, and I think the little moments added up to more. But I think Ngannou won. Every time an underdog does better than you expect, they must have won then. No, he just done better than you expected. And obviously the knockdown. But I thought I thought Fury won the fight, but it was an embarrassment to boxing. How can someone that's never boxed come into our sport, look at me defending the sport, and put down the lineal heavyweight champion, the greatest heavyweight of this generation? Strange.
Were you surprised at how well Ngannou got the fundamentals right, or do you think he was allowed to do that? Do you think Fury overlooked it?
No, I wasn't surprised by his fundamentals actually, because I spoke to Ngannou, and I said this as well all week. I said he's trolling us. I said I'm a big MMA fan. I've watched a lot of the behind the scenes with their UFC embedded programs, and I've seen him hit the pad and I've seen him do bag work, and I'm like, those little clips he was putting out, no. I said it to him. I said, dude, you're tricking me. You're tricking us. I know you're better than that. I didn't expect him to be that good, but I wasn't fooled by what he was doing. But ultimately, I think there needs to be a conversation about Fury and the decline. I think I'm a big fan of Fury, but that's not the Fury I remember. I don't know if it's a case of him not living the life as he should in between camps, but that extra bit of tire that he's got, as much as we laugh about it, I'm fat and I still beat up everyone who looks like a bodybuilder. You can't be a supreme athlete and look like that and get away with it year in, year out. And he's got away with it. And I think maybe if he doesn't change that, the longevity that I think he wants in the sport won't happen. And this could be, or the next year could be the last year we see Fury.
Did you watch any of the documentary at all?
The Fury one? No, I haven't watched anything. The Netflix stuff?
Yeah.
No, I haven't watched it.
Okay, it would have been interesting to get your perspectives. Obviously, you've been around him, just to see if that's any different to what he's like. Because there are times where the camera's following him, and he's 5 weeks out from camp, and he's having a beer, and that's something that he talks about doing regularly. And you just think, surely you can't be doing that sort of thing.
No, not at that age. You get away with it in your 20s, but then you look at all the supreme athletes in any sport that have sort of had success in their 30s. LeBron James in basketball, Ronaldo in football. They are athletes supreme. They won't even touch candy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, candy, I'm so American. So, surely that's how it's got to be.
Being the face of design.
Yeah, that is right. So that's how it's got to be, right? If you're a supreme athlete, surely you've got to live like that for longevity. If you don't, it will catch you up. I think we've seen it with other athletes. Conor McGregor's another one, right? I mean, again, you get away with it in your 20s, a little drink here and there, and it's fine, right? I get it. It's difficult not to do those things. But if you want to be the best, like Floyd, like Bernard Hopkins fighting into the 50s, right? Then you've got to be just insanely sort of driven. And Tyson's got away with just being better than everyone. I think it will get to the stage where all these guys, look at Ngannou, he's an athlete. I mean, look at him, dude. That is fucking ridiculous. And he's probably looking at Fury with no fear, thinking there's absolutely no way I'm scared of you. There's no way. Look at him, like, no way. Whereas we in boxing understand how good Fury is. He's probably thinking, no chance. So, yeah, look, I hope Fury does continue, but I think he needs to have a serious think about how he lives in between fights to do that.
Final, really two quick ones from me. You've got Chris Eubank Sr. come out and said that he had a huge admiration for Conor Benn in fighting to get a win to kind of avenge his father, and that he felt his son was just money motivated. Mind games? Do you think he's just trying to get a rise out of Conor?
I don't think so. I think there's clearly issues behind the scenes between senior and junior, which I hate that it's being played out in front of our eyes. Like, all the love to Harlem recently, which I get. Obviously, look, Chris's senior's dad passed away, Chris's brother passed away, Harlem's dad. So I can understand getting behind him and supporting him, but I don't think you need to do that and then mean kicking down sort of junior. I don't like it. So I don't think it is mind games. I think he's genuinely telling the truth when he says it. But ultimately, look, I guess we all have to wait and see if that fight's going to happen. I think it will. And it would be nice to see Chris Sr. involved in it in some capacity, just because I know Nigel Benn will be. And I remember speaking to Chris in the lead up to the first fight, or the fight that never happened. And I asked him that question, like, is Senior going to be there? And he said no. And I felt quite sad because that's what this event was about, right? And it looks like if it does happen, he won't be there, which is a shame.
Final one is my mind's gone absolutely blank.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. Oh yes, sorry. Year's coming to an end. Obviously, there's still a few events to come up, but just top fight of the year for you.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with, not because of how the fight played out, but just because I've waited for it for 5 years, and it has to be Spence Crawford. Sort of being in America, again, so lucky to do this job and to go to these events, being there and just seeing what felt like the magnitude of boxing finally having its Super Bowl moment, Champions League final, World Cup final, whatever one you want to sort of link it to, and be there for it, and seeing Terence Crawford do that to Errol Spence.
So were you surprised how wide that was?
I could not believe what I was seeing. I could not. I was like this.
I had Spence to win, to be honest.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone had it as a 50-50 or just edged to the other fighter. So to see him do that, I'd have to say that was the event of the year. Obviously, fight's a bit difficult. In fact, Saudi was so good as an event, you know. But I'll say Spence Crawford is the event of the year. And I know we have a few events, as you say, left to go, but nothing's stopping that. Nothing.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, mate. I really appreciate it. Last one of the evening. Thank you very much, mate.